The champagne glass shattered against marble as Taeyoon's hand closed around Nina Okafor's wrist in the penthouse hallway. His best friend's daughter, forbidden, innocent, completely off-limits, stared up at him with those dark eyes that had haunted him for 3 years. Going somewhere? His voice was silk over razors. She'd been trying to leave his charity gala early, and something primal in him snapped. You can't keep me here. Her pulse hammered against his fingers. Can't I? He pulled her closer, watched her breath catch. Because I've spent 1,000 nights trying not to think about you. Tonight, I'm done trying. Welcome to K-Drama Stories TV, besties. Drop a comment right now if you're ready for the most dangerous love story you've ever heard. And hit that subscribe button because this one will have you questioning everything you know about obsession and restraint. Nina Okafor had made a terrible miscalculation. She'd thought attending Taeyoon's annual charity gala would be safe. Her father would be there, hundreds of guests, security everywhere. She'd thought she could slip in, fulfill her obligation, and disappear before Taeyoon noticed her. She'd forgotten that Taeyoon noticed everything, especially her. Let go of me, Nina whispered, trying to pull free. Other guests passed in the hallway, oblivious to the tension crackling between them. Not until you tell me why you're running. Taeyoon's thumb stroked the inside of her wrist, feeling her pulse spike. I'm not running. I have an early morning. Her voice came out sharper than intended. And you're being inappropriate. Inappropriate. He repeated the word like it tasted bitter. Is it inappropriate to notice when someone's been avoiding me for 6 months? You're my father's best friend. I don't owe you an explanation? No. His grip loosened but didn't release. But you owe yourself honesty about why you can barely look at me anymore. Nina's stomach twisted. She'd been so careful, so deliberate about maintaining distance, avoiding eye contact, keeping conversations brief and professional. I don't know what you're talking about. Liar. The word was soft, dangerous. He leaned closer. You used to smile when I walked into a room. Used to ask me about work, about travel, about everything. Now you make excuses to leave the moment I arrive. So tell me, Nina, what changed? Everything, she wanted to scream. Everything changed when I started noticing you're not just my father's friend. When I started dreaming about you. When being near you makes me feel things I have no right to feel. But she couldn't say that. Wouldn't give him that power. Nothing changed. You're reading into things that aren't there. She yanked her arm free. And this conversation is over. She turned to leave. His voice stopped her. I think about you constantly. Nina froze. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. Every family dinner, I watch you. Every business call with your father, I wonder if you'll be in the background. Every night. His voice dropped. Every night. I lie awake hating myself for wanting my best friend's daughter. Stop. The word came out strangled. You can't say things like that. Why not? They're true. Because you're 42 years old. Nina spun to face him, anger finally overriding fear. Because my father trusts you. Because I'm 22 and you've known me since I was a teenager. Because this entire conversation is wrong on every possible level. I know. Pain flickered across his face. You think I haven't told myself that? You think I haven't tried to stop? Then try harder. I did. For 3 years I tried. Taeyoon moved closer. I dated other women. Threw myself into work. Avoided family gatherings. Nothing worked. You're under my skin, Nina. And I'm done pretending otherwise. Well, I'm not interested. The lie tasted like ash. So whatever sick fantasy you've built up in your head, kill it now. I see you as my father's friend. Nothing more. His eyes darkened. Then why are your hands shaking? Why is your pulse racing? Why haven't you screamed for security or your father? Because I'm trying to handle this quietly, so you don't embarrass yourself. I'm past embarrassment. He stopped inches away. I'm past pride. I'm past every defense I've built. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. And then you're going to be honest. Not polite. Not careful. Honest. I don't owe you. I'm obsessed with you. The confession came out raw, unfiltered. I memorize every word you say. I attend family dinners just to see you, even though being near you is torture. I've turned down relationships because no one compares. I think about you when I wake up, when I work, when I'm supposed to be focusing on anything else. You've destroyed my control, Nina. Completely. The intensity in his eyes was terrifying. And worse, part of her responded to it. Some traitorous part of her that had noticed him at family dinners. That had felt something shift at that business retreat 6 months ago when their hands touched and electricity shot through her. But acknowledging it would destroy everything. You need therapy, she said coldly. Not a confession. I'm 22 years old. You're my father's best friend. This is sick. I know. It's predatory. I know that too. His voice was steady despite the pain in his eyes. Which is why I'm giving you control. Tell me to leave you alone. Really mean it, and I will. I'll stay away from family dinners. I'll avoid you at events. I'll be nothing but professionally distant. I can do that if it's what you want. Nina should have said yes immediately. Should have ended this nightmare before it consumed them both. But the word stuck in her throat. Because some deeply hidden part of her, the part she'd been suppressing for months, didn't want him to leave her alone. Wanted to know what would happen if she admitted she'd noticed him too. That being near him made her skin heat and her stomach flip in ways that terrified her. You're sick, she whispered. Probably. Taeyoon's thumb brushed her jaw without quite touching. But I'm also honest. Can you say the same? Before she could answer, voices echoed down the hallway. Her father's voice, calling her name. Taeyoon stepped back immediately, creating appropriate distance. His face smoothed into the composed mask he wore in public, nothing showing of the intensity from seconds before. Nina? There you are. Her father, Cosmos Okafor, appeared with several business associates. Taeyoon, I was just telling the gentleman about the Lagos expansion project. They'd love to hear your perspective. Of course. Taeyoon's voice was perfectly controlled. Miss Okafor, thank you for attending tonight. The formal address felt like a slap. Like he could confess obsession 1 minute and pretend to be a stranger the next. It made her irrationally angry. You're welcome, she said coolly, then turned to her father. I'm heading out, Dad. Early morning. Already? But I have work. Nina kissed his cheek. I'll call you tomorrow. She left before anyone could protest. But as she waited for the elevator, Taeyoon's head of security appeared. Mr. Park requested you remain until the end of the gala, the man said quietly. For your safety. There's been concern about aggressive paparazzi outside. It was a lie, transparent and obvious. Tell Mr. Park I don't need his protection. Nina's voice was ice. I'm leaving. Now. The security guard shifted uncomfortably. Ma'am, I really think. I said no. She pushed past him into the elevator. But as the doors closed, she caught a glimpse of Taeyoon at the end of the hallway, watching her leave with an expression that made her chest tighten. Hunger, desperation, and something that looked dangerously like heartbreak. Nina leaned against the elevator wall, trying to catch her breath. This was insane. Taeyoon was her father's best friend, 12 years older, completely inappropriate. The fact that she'd even hesitated to shut him down was proof she needed to stay far away. But her traitorous heart wouldn't stop racing. And her mind wouldn't stop replaying his words. I think about you constantly. You're under my skin. I'm obsessed with you. No one had ever looked at her the way Taeyoon had tonight. Like she was salvation and damnation combined. Like he'd burned down his entire life just for a chance. It was sick, wrong, dangerous, and some deeply hidden part of her wanted it anyway. Nina lasted 2 days before her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I meant what I said, every word, but I also meant the other part. Tell me to leave you alone and I will. You have until midnight to decide. After that, I stop giving you the choice to walk away. Tai. Her hands shook as she read it. The audacity, the arrogance, the absolute certainty that she'd been affected by his confession. The worst part? He was right. She should block the number. Should tell her father. Should end this before it became something she couldn't control. Instead, she found herself staring at the message for hours, replaying their conversation, remembering the intensity in his eyes, the raw honesty in his voice. I'm obsessed with you. No one had ever wanted her like that. Her ex-boyfriends had been casual, comfortable, safe. Taeyoon was none of those things. He was dangerous and intense and completely wrong for her. But he'd looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. At 11:47 p.m., Nina typed a response. Don't contact me again. What you're feeling isn't love. It's obsession. And I won't be part of your midlife crisis. Lose my number. She hit send before she could change her mind. 3 minutes later, her phone rang. Unknown number. Nina almost didn't answer, but curiosity and something darker made her pick up. I gave you a choice. Taeyoon's voice was low, controlled. You made it. I'll respect that. Good. But Nina, I need you to understand something before I walk away. I don't want to. This isn't a midlife crisis. This isn't some fleeting obsession. His control cracked slightly. I've been fighting this for 3 years. Since your college graduation when you smiled at me and something in my carefully ordered world shattered. I've spent 1,000 nights trying to talk myself out of it. Tried dating other women. Tried distance. Tried everything. Nothing worked. That's not my problem. I know. He laughed, the sound bitter. You're right. This is sick. Wrong. Inappropriate on every level. Your father is my brother in every way that matters. But Nina, he stopped. If you ever change your mind, if you ever want to know what it's like to be wanted this completely, this desperately, you have my number now. I'm deleting it. You won't. The certainty in his voice made her pulse jump. Because some part of you, even if it's small, felt something tonight. Felt something when I was close. When I looked at you. And that curiosity won't let you walk away completely. You're delusional. Maybe. But I'm also right. His voice dropped. Good night, Nina. I hope whatever you're running from doesn't destroy you the way it's destroying me. He hung up. Nina stared at her phone, heart hammering. She should delete the number. Block him. Tell her father everything. Instead, she saved the contact under Don't Answer and went to bed. And dreamed of dark eyes and dangerous confessions and a man who looked at her like she was an addiction he couldn't quit. 3 weeks passed. Nina successfully avoided Taeyoon at 2 family dinners by claiming work emergencies. Her father was getting suspicious, but she didn't care. Distance was the only way to kill whatever dangerous thing had sparked between them. Then her car broke down at midnight on a deserted road outside Seoul. Her phone was dying. The tow service said 2 hours minimum. And the temperature was dropping fast. Nina sat in her car, trying not to panic, when headlights appeared behind her. A sleek black car pulled up. The driver's door opened. Taeyoon stepped out. No. Nina's stomach dropped. No, this is not happening. Your father called me. Taeyoon approached her car slowly, hands visible. Said you weren't answering your phone. Asked me to check on you since I was nearby. I'm fine. Tow truck is coming. In 2 hours. In freezing weather. His eyes swept over her, checking for injury. Get in my car. I'll drive you home. I'd rather freeze. Nina. I said no. She crossed her arms, even though she was already shivering. I don't need your help. I don't want your help. Call my father back and tell him I'm fine. Taeyoon was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and called someone. Cosmos? I found her. Car broke down on Route 47. She's refusing help. He paused, listening. I understand. I'll stay until the tow arrives. He hung up and leaned against his car, arms crossed, making no move to approach her. What are you doing? Nina demanded. Exactly what you asked. Not helping. Just making sure you don't freeze to death so your father doesn't kill me. His voice was flat, emotionless. I can do that from here. You're being ridiculous. I'm respecting your boundaries. His eyes met hers through the windshield. Isn't that what you wanted? Nina wanted to argue, wanted to tell him to leave. But the temperature was dropping and her car's heater had died with the engine. She was already losing feeling in her fingers. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Nina's teeth were chattering now, her breath fogging the windows. Taeyoon didn't move. Just stood there in the cold, watching her suffer because she'd been too stubborn to accept help. Finally, at 30 minutes, Nina's pride cracked. Fine, she snapped, getting out of the car. You win. Drive me home. I'm not trying to win anything. but he opened the passenger door for her. I'm trying to keep you alive. The interior of his car was warm. Heated seats, climate control, luxury that made her frozen Toyota feel like a tin can. Nina held her hands to the vents, trying to restore circulation. Taeyoon got in but didn't start the engine immediately. He pulled off his jacket and handed it to her. I don't need. You're shivering so hard you can barely speak. Take the jacket. Nina wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain the wall she'd built between them. But she was freezing and his jacket was warm and smelled like his cologne. Expensive and intoxicating and entirely too tempting. She took it. They drove in silence for 10 minutes. The tension was suffocating. Thank you, Nina finally said, hating how small her voice sounded. You don't have to thank me for basic human decency. I'm thanking you anyway. More silence. Then Taeyoon spoke, voice carefully neutral. Your father asked me to come to dinner next week. Said you'd be there. I'll make an excuse. How long are you going to keep doing this? Doing what? Running. He kept his eyes on the road. Avoiding family events. Lying to your father. Pretending that night at the gala never happened. It didn't happen. You had some kind of breakdown and said inappropriate things. End of story. Is that what you tell yourself? Now he did look at her, and the intensity made her breath catch. That I'm crazy? That what I feel isn't real? It doesn't matter if it's real. It's wrong. Why? The question was genuine. Because of age? Because of my friendship with your father? Because society says so? All of the above. Nina pulled his jacket tighter. You're 42. I'm 22. You've known me since I was 19. The power imbalance alone. What power imbalance? Taeyoon's voice sharpened. You have all the power, Nina. You always have. One word from you and I lose everything. My best friend, my reputation, my self-respect. You could destroy me with a single conversation. So tell me where the power imbalance is. That's not. She stopped, frustrated. You're twisting this. I'm being honest. Something you still can't do. I've been nothing but honest. Then tell me you feel nothing. He pulled the car over suddenly, parking on the shoulder. Look me in the eye and tell me you feel absolutely nothing when I'm near you. That your heart doesn't race. That you haven't thought about that night. That you deleted my number like you said you would. Nina's mouth went dry. I did delete it. Liar. His eyes searched hers. You saved it. Probably under something like, don't answer or mistake. But you kept it. Because some part of you, even if you won't admit it, wants to see what happens next. You're delusional. Then prove it. Taeyoon's hand came up, hovering near her face without touching. Let me kiss you. Right now. If you feel nothing, I'll know. I'll walk away. I'll never bring this up again. No. Because you're scared of feeling nothing? Or scared of feeling something? Nina's pulse hammered. This was insane. She should demand he drive her home immediately. Should threaten to tell her father everything. Should do anything except sit here staring at his mouth and wondering what would happen if she closed the distance. I'm not scared of you, she whispered. I didn't ask if you were scared of me. I asked if you were scared of what you might feel. The question hung between them, heavy with possibility. Nina knew the smart answer, the safe answer, but something reckless and dangerous was rising in her chest, demanding to know if this attraction was real or if she'd built it up in her imagination. One kiss, she heard herself say, to prove you're wrong. Then you leave me alone. Forever. Satisfaction flickered in his eyes. One kiss, to prove I'm right. He moved slowly, giving her time to pull away. His hand cupped her jaw, thumb brushing her cheekbone. The touch sent electricity down her spine. Last chance, he murmured. Tell me to stop. Nina should have ended this before it became something she couldn't control. Instead, she closed her eyes. Taeyoon kissed her like a man starving. Not rough but desperate. Like she was air and he'd been drowning. His other hand slid into her hair, angling her head for better access. Nina's gasp let him deepen the kiss, and suddenly she was lost. This wasn't the casual kisses she'd shared with college boyfriends. This was consuming, all-encompassing. A kiss that demanded everything and gave it back tenfold. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Taeyun pressed his forehead to hers. Tell me you felt nothing, he whispered. Tell me I'm wrong. Nina couldn't, because every cell in her body was on fire. Because she just kissed her father's best friend and it had been the most intense moment of her life. Because she wanted him to do it again. This doesn't change anything, she managed, even though her voice shook. One kiss doesn't make this right. No, but it proves I'm not imagining this. His thumb traced her swollen lips. You feel it too. Finally, you're admitting it. I'm not. Your hands are in my shirt. You pulled me closer. You kissed me back like you were drowning too. His eyes held hers. So stop lying, Nina. Stop pretending this doesn't exist. She looked down. Her hands were fisted in his shirt, holding him close. When had that happened? I hate you, she whispered. No, you don't. You hate that you want me. There's a difference. He was right. God help her, he was right. Take me home, Nina said, releasing his shirt. And don't contact me again. That's not how this works anymore. Excuse me? You kissed me back. Taeyun started the car. You proved this is mutual, which means I'm done giving you space to run. I'm done pretending. And I'm done waiting for you to be brave enough to admit what you feel. You can't just decide. I'm not deciding anything. You already decided when you kissed me. He pulled back onto the road. Now we deal with the consequences. Together. My father will never forgive either of us. I know. This will destroy your friendship. I know that too. His jaw clenched. But Nina, I've spent 3 years in hell watching you from a distance. I'm not going back. Not now that I know you feel this too. One kiss doesn't mean. It means everything. His hand found hers, threading their fingers together. And deep down, you know it. Nina wanted to argue, wanted to pull her hand away, wanted to deny everything. But she couldn't, because the terrifying truth was that Taeyun was right. She'd felt something in that kiss. Something that scared her. Something that made her understand why he'd been willing to risk everything. Because she was starting to realize she might be willing to risk everything too. And that was the most dangerous feeling of all. Taeyun didn't take her straight home. He drove to a private parking garage and killed the engine. What are you doing? Nina demanded. Giving you a choice. He turned to face her. I can drive you to your apartment right now. Drop you off. We both go back to pretending tonight never happened. Your father never finds out. Our lives stay exactly as they are. Good. Do that. Or, he continued as if she hadn't spoken, you can come upstairs with me. Not for anything physical, just to talk. Really talk. About what this is. What it could be. What we're both too scared to acknowledge. I'm not scared. Then come upstairs. Prove it. Nina should have demanded he take her home immediately. Should have ended this before it spiraled further out of control. But curiosity was a vicious thing. And she needed to understand what had just happened in that car. Needed to know if one kiss had shattered her carefully constructed walls, or if this was just adrenaline and forbidden attraction. 1 hour, she said. Just to talk. Then you take me home. 1 hour. Taeyun's smile was dangerous. That's all I'm asking. He led her to a private elevator that required a keycard. They rode up in silence, tension thick enough to taste. When the doors opened, Nina stepped into a penthouse that was all clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. This isn't your main residence, she said. No. I use it when I need privacy. He shrugged off his jacket. My main penthouse has security. Staff. Too many eyes. Here, it's just us. The implication made her pulse spike. You brought me here to seduce me. I brought you here so we could have an honest conversation without your father or anyone else interrupting. Taeyun moved to the bar. Wine? Whiskey? Water. He poured her water and himself whiskey, then gestured to the couch. Nina sat on the opposite end, maintaining distance. Talk then, she said. You have an hour. Taeyun settled into the chair across from her, studying her with an intensity that made her skin heat. I need you to understand something, he started. What I feel for you isn't some passing attraction. It's not a midlife crisis or forbidden fruit syndrome. I've spent 3 years trying to rationalize it away, trying to convince myself it would fade. It hasn't. If anything, It's gotten worse. That's not my problem. It became your problem the moment you kissed me back. His eyes held hers. Because now I know you feel something too. Even if you're fighting it. Even if you're terrified. It exists. And we need to figure out what to do about it. There's nothing to figure out. We ignore it and move on. For how long? Taeyoon leaned forward. How long can you keep avoiding family dinners? How long can you keep lying to your father about why you can't be in the same room with me? How long can you pretend you don't think about that kiss? I don't think about it. Liar. The word was soft, certain. You've thought about nothing else since it happened. Just like I've thought about nothing else. Nina wanted to deny it, but she couldn't, because he was right. The kiss had consumed her thoughts from the moment it ended. Even if I admit I felt something, she said carefully, that doesn't mean we act on it. Feelings aren't enough to justify destroying my relationship with my father. Your friendship with him. Everything. I agree. She blinked. You do. Feelings alone aren't enough. Taeyoon took a drink. Which is why I'm asking for more than one kiss. I'm asking for a chance to prove this is real. That what we have is worth the risk. What we have is one kiss and a lot of inappropriate confessions. Then let's find out if there's more. He set down his glass. Give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks where you stop running. Where you let me take you to dinner. Where we actually get to know each other without your father or expectations or fear getting in the way. That's insane. Is it? Or are you just scared of what you might discover? I'm scared of hurting my father. So am I. Pain flickered across Taeyoon's face. Cosmos is my brother. Losing him would destroy me. But Nina, I'm already being destroyed. Slowly. Watching you from a distance. Pretending I don't feel this. At least if I'm honest, if I fight for this, I have a chance at something real. Or you lose everything. I'm willing to take that risk. His eyes burned into hers. The question is, are you? Nina's chest tightened. This was happening too fast. She needed time to think, to process, to figure out if this dangerous attraction was worth appending her entire life. But Taeyoon wasn't giving her time. He was pushing, demanding, forcing her to make a choice right now. 2 weeks, she heard herself say. But secretly, if my father finds out before we figure out what this is, we stop immediately. Agreed. And if after 2 weeks this turns out to be just attraction, if it fades or feels wrong, we end it. No arguments. Also agreed. Taeyoon stood, moving to sit beside her. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel his heat. But Nina, I should warn you, I don't think this is going to fade. I think 2 weeks is just going to make me more obsessed. More certain. More willing to burn down everything for a chance with you. You can't know that. Can't I? His hand came up, tucking a curl behind her ear. I've waited 3 years for you to see me as more than your father's friend. Now that you finally do, now that I've tasted you, do you really think I'm going to let you go easily? The possessiveness should have scared her, should have sent her running. Instead, it made her pulse race. I'm not yours, she whispered. Not yet. Taeyoon's thumb brushed her lower lip. But you will be. Because deep down you already know how this ends. You're just too scared to admit it. How does it end? With you in my bed, my ring on your finger, and your father eventually forgiving us because he sees how happy I make you. His voice dropped. With me worshipping every inch of you every night for the rest of our lives. With you finally admitting you're my addiction, the one thing I can't quit, can't resist, can't live without. Nina's breath caught. The picture he painted was dangerous. Tempting, impossible, and some traitorous part of her wanted it anyway. You're insane, she managed. Completely. Taeyoon leaned closer, his lips hovering near hers without touching. But you're going to fall for me anyway. And when you do, Nina, when you finally admit you're mine, I'm never letting you go. He pulled back before she could close the distance. Stood, extended his hand. Come on, I'll take you home. Our 2 weeks start tomorrow. Nina took his hand, letting him pull her up, and as they drove back to her apartment in charged silence, she realized something terrifying. Taeyoon was right about everything. She was going to fall for him, was probably already falling. And when she did, when she finally stopped fighting this dangerous attraction, It was going to destroy everything. Or save them both. She just didn't know which yet. The next evening, a car arrived at Nina's apartment. Not Taeyoon's usual driver. Someone discreet. Anonymous. The message had been clear. Dinner. 8 p.m. Come as you are. Nina had spent all day talking herself out of this. Had picked up her phone a dozen times to cancel. But curiosity, and something darker, more dangerous, kept pulling her forward. She got in the car. They drove to a private residence in the hills overlooking Seoul. Not a restaurant. Somewhere intimate, isolated, dangerous. Taeyoon met her at the door, wearing casual clothes, dark jeans, a fitted black sweater. Without the formal business attire, he looked younger, more approachable. But his eyes held the same intensity that had haunted her since that kiss. You came, he said softly. I said I would. Nina stepped inside, nervous energy making her voice sharp. 2 weeks. That's what I agreed to. And I'm grateful. He guided her toward a dining room where a private chef was finishing preparations. I thought neutral territory would be better than a restaurant where we might be seen. Or where I could leave easily. That too. His smile was self-deprecating. But Nina, you can walk out whenever you want. This only works if you're here willingly. The dinner was unexpected. Taeyoon didn't try to seduce her or overwhelm her with romantic gestures. Instead, he talked, really talked, about his childhood in Seoul, the loneliness of building an empire alone, the weight of expectations. He asked about her dreams, her frustrations with graduate school, her complicated relationship with her heritage. You're different than I expected, Nina admitted over dessert. How so? Less intimidating. More human. She set down her fork. At family dinners, you're always so controlled. Tonight, you're actually showing me who you are. That's the point. Taeyoon leaned forward. I wanted you to see me. Really see me. Not your father's successful friend or some untouchable billionaire. Just me. Flawed. Obsessed. Completely consumed by you. You keep saying things like that. Because they're true. His eyes held hers. Nina, I know this is fast. I know you're still deciding if this attraction is real. But I need you to understand something. I'm not playing games. I'm not interested in some secret affair that ends when you get bored. If we do this, I want all of you. That's intense. I'm an intense person, especially about things I want. His hand crossed the table, palm up. An invitation, not a demand. But I'll also be patient. I'll give you these 2 weeks to figure out if what you feel is real. I just need you to stop lying to yourself about feeling nothing. Nina looked at his hand. Taking it would mean admitting this was more than curiosity. More than rebellion. She took it. His fingers closed around hers, warm and certain. Something shifted in his expression. Triumph mixed with relief. Thank you, he said quietly, for giving me a chance. They talked for hours after dinner. Moved to the living room where conversation flowed easier than Nina had imagined possible. She learned that Taeyoon loved terrible action movies and collected vintage watches. That he was terrified of failing the people who depended on him. That beneath the controlled exterior was someone surprisingly vulnerable. And she found herself relaxing, laughing at his dry humor, debating philosophy and business ethics, discovering that Taeyoon without the mask was someone she actually liked. When he finally drove her home, insisted on driving her himself, Nina realized something terrifying. She didn't want the night to end. Can I see you again? He asked outside her building. We agreed on 2 weeks. I mean tomorrow. His eyes searched hers. I know that's fast. But Nina, now that I've had you to myself for 1 evening, waiting days between seeing you feels impossible. You're spoiled. Completely. He caught her hand before she could exit the car. But I'm also honest about what I want. And I want to see you tomorrow. And the day after. And every day until you're tired of me. That might happen sooner than you think. I'll take that risk. Nina should have said no. Should have maintained distance. But she found herself nodding. Tomorrow. But somewhere we won't be seen. I know just the place. He didn't try to kiss her goodnight. Just watched her enter her building with an expression that made her skin heat. Nina lay awake that night, replaying every moment. and admitted something she'd been denying. She was falling, fast, for a man who was completely wrong for her in every way that mattered to the outside world, but felt completely right in every way that mattered to her heart. The next week passed in a blur of secret meetings, quiet dinners at the private residence, long drives where they talked about everything and nothing. Taeyoon was proving himself to be everything she hadn't expected. Attentive without being suffocating, funny in unexpected ways, surprisingly romantic in subtle gestures. He never pushed for physical intimacy beyond holding her hand or brushing her hair back. Never demanded more than she was ready to give. But the tension built with every meeting, every lingering look, every accidental touch that felt deliberate. Nina was falling deeper, and the guilt of hiding it from her father was eating her alive. On the 8th day, they were walking through a private garden after dinner when Taeyoon stopped suddenly. "What's wrong?" Nina asked. "I need to tell you something." His jaw was tight. "And you're not going to like it." Fear spiked through her. "What?" "Your father knows." Nina's stomach dropped. "What? How?" "He saw my car outside your building 3 nights ago. Asked me point blank if something was going on between us." Taeyoon's hands fisted at his sides. "I couldn't lie to him, Nina. Not about this." "So you told him?" Her voice rose. "You told him we've been seeing each other?" "I told him the truth. That I have feelings for you. That you've been giving me a chance to prove those feelings are worth the risk." His eyes held hers. "I didn't tell him about the dinners or how much time we've spent together. But I couldn't lie about my feelings. Not to Cosmos." "What did he say?" "He told me to stay away from you. Said I was taking advantage. That the age gap alone makes this inappropriate." Pain flickered across Taeyoon's face. "He's not wrong, Nina. About any of it. But I told him I couldn't stay away. That I'd already tried for 3 years and failed. That I was in love with his daughter and nothing. Not our friendship, not his disapproval, not anything was going to change that." Nina's breath caught. "You told him you love me?" "I told him the truth." Taeyoon moved closer. "Because I'm done hiding. Done pretending. And Nina, I'm done giving you time to decide. These past 8 days watching you laugh, getting to know you, it's only made me more certain. So here's what's going to happen. You don't get to just decide. I'm going to talk to your father. Officially. I'm going to ask his permission to pursue you properly. Not sneak around. Not hide. Really pursue you." His hands framed her face. "Because you're not a secret I'm ashamed of. You're the woman I'm in love with. And I want the world to know it." "He'll say no. He'll forbid it." "Probably." Taeyoon's thumb stroked her cheekbone. "But I'm asking anyway, because it's the right thing to do. And because I need to know, are you willing to fight for this too? Or am I alone in wanting something real?" Nina's mind raced. This was happening too fast. Her father knowing changed everything. The secret had been safe. This was exposure. Risk. Potential devastation. But looking into Taeyoon's eyes, seeing the raw honesty there, she realized something crucial. She didn't want to hide either. "I'm not saying I love you," she said carefully. "It's too soon for that. But Taeyoon, I feel something. Something that scares me. Something that makes me understand why you've been willing to risk everything." "That's enough." Relief crashed across his face. "That's more than enough. But if you're going to talk to my father, I need to be there. This isn't just your fight. It's mine too." "Are you sure?" "Cosmos is going to be furious." "I'm sure." Nina took his hands. "Because you're right about one thing, I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending I don't feel this. So if we're doing this, we're doing it together." Taeyoon pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. "Thank you. For being brave enough to fight for this. For us. Don't thank me yet. My father might murder both of us. Worth it." His lips brushed her temple. "You're worth anything, Nina. Everything." The meeting with Cosmos was arranged for the next evening. Nina sat beside Taeyoon in her father's study, hyper-aware of every breath, every movement. Her father stood by the window, back to them, radiating anger. "Explain," Cosmos said, voice dangerously quiet. "Explain how my best friend of 20 years ended up pursuing my daughter behind my back." "I didn't pursue her behind your back," Taeyoon said steadily. I've had feelings for Nina for 3 years. I tried to suppress them, tried to stay away. But 3 weeks ago I couldn't anymore. I told her how I felt and asked for a chance to prove those feelings were real. She's 22 years old. She's an adult capable of making her own choices. Cosmos turned, and the fury in his eyes was devastating. You're 42. You've known her since she was 19. You helped pay for her education. And now you're what? Dating her? Taking advantage of her trust. I'm not taking advantage of anyone. Taeyoon's voice sharpened. I've been nothing but honest. We've taken this slow. I've given her every opportunity to walk away. Dad, Nina interjected. This isn't Taeyoon taking advantage. I went into this with my eyes open. You went into this after he spent 3 years grooming you. That's not fair. Nina stood, anger overriding fear. He didn't groom me. He avoided me for 3 years. I barely saw him outside family dinners. What happened 3 weeks ago was 2 adults acknowledging mutual attraction. Mutual attraction? Cosmos's laugh was bitter. Nina, you're 22. You don't know what you want. And he pointed at Taeyoon. He should know better. I do know better, Taeyoon said quietly. I know this is complicated. I know the age gap raises questions. I know our friendship makes this a betrayal in your eyes. But Cosmos, I'm in love with your daughter. That's not something I can apologize for. You should have stayed away from her. I tried. For 3 years I tried. Taeyoon stood, facing his best friend. But I'm done trying. I'm done pretending. I love Nina. And I'm asking, not for your blessing, because I know I don't deserve it, but for a chance to prove I'm worthy of her. You'll never be worthy of her. Cosmos's voice cracked. Not after this betrayal. The words hit like physical blows. Nina saw Taeyoon flinch, saw the pain in his eyes. Dad, please. Nina moved between them. I know you're hurt. I know this feels like betrayal. But I'm asking you to see past your anger. To see that Taeyoon makes me happy. That what we have is real. What you have is a fantasy built on forbidden attraction. Cosmos shot back. And when it falls apart, when you realize the age gap matters, when reality sets in, you'll have destroyed our family for nothing. Or, Nina said quietly, what we have is real, and you're letting anger blind you to that possibility. Cosmos was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Taeyoon with something like grief. Get out of my house, he said. Both of you. And don't come back until Nina comes to her senses. Dad. I said get out. His voice broke. I can't look at either of you right now. Nina grabbed her bag, tears streaming. Taeyoon's hand found hers as they left. Outside, in the car, she finally broke down. I just lost my father, she sobbed. Because of this. Because of us. I'm sorry. Taeyoon pulled her close. God, Nina, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. It's not. It is. I pushed this. I couldn't stay away. And now you're paying the price. No. Nina pulled back to look at him. We both chose this. Together. And Taeyoon, even with my father hating us right now, I don't regret it. I don't regret choosing you. Relief and pain warred on his face. You should. This is destroying your family. Then we prove him wrong. Nina wiped her tears. We prove this is real. That what we have is worth fighting for. And eventually he'll see that. And if he doesn't, then we build a life anyway. She touched his face. Because I'm choosing you, Taeyoon. Fully. Completely. Even knowing what it costs. He kissed her then, desperate and grateful. And Nina kissed him back, pouring everything she couldn't say into the contact. They'd lost so much in one evening. But they'd also gained something crucial. Each other. Without secrets. Without hiding. And somehow that made the pain worth it. 6 months later, the silence from Cosmos was deafening. He'd blocked Nina's calls, returned letters unopened. The devastation was complete. But Nina and Taeyoon had built something real in that time. Moved in together. Merged their lives in ways that proved this wasn't just attraction. They fought and made up. Navigated the complications of their age gap. Dealt with judgment from people who didn't understand. And through it all, they chose each other. Every single day. I miss him, Nina admitted one night, curled against Taeyun on their couch. I know. His arm tightened around her. I miss him too. Every day. Do you regret it? Us? Never. Taeyun tilted her face up. Losing Cosmos is the hardest thing I've ever endured. But losing you would have been worse. So no, Nina. I don't regret us. I never will. She kissed him softly, and knew with absolute certainty that she felt the same. The breakthrough finally came from Cosmos's sister, Nina's Aunt Maya. She'd maintained relationships with both sides, refusing to choose. One afternoon, she invited them all to her house. I'm not asking for instant forgiveness, Maya told Cosmos firmly. I'm asking you to listen, really listen, and then decide if your pride is worth losing your daughter forever. Cosmos sat stiffly across from them, but he stayed. I was wrong, Taeyun started. Wrong not to come to you immediately when I realized my feelings. Wrong to let it go on as long as I did before being honest. Cosmos, you're my brother. You trusted me and I violated that trust. I'm sorry. More than you'll ever know. Sorry doesn't fix this. I know. But I need you to understand. I love Nina. Completely. This isn't a midlife crisis or forbidden attraction. I've spent 6 months proving that what we have is real. She challenges me, makes me better. And yes, I'm older. Yes, our history is complicated. But my feelings are real. Cosmos turned to Nina. And you? Are you sure this isn't just rebellion? Or attraction to someone forbidden? Dad? I'm more sure of this than anything in my life. Nina's voice was steady despite the tears. I know you think I'm too young to know what love is. But I've dated. I've had relationships. This is different. Taeyun sees me, really sees me. He doesn't try to control me or change me. He just loves me for exactly who I am. The age gap is 12 years. And honestly, Dad, it doesn't matter when someone makes you feel valued and challenged and loved completely. She leaned forward. I know you're hurt. I know this feels like betrayal. But I'm asking you to see past that. To see how happy I am. To give us a real chance. Cosmos was quiet for a long time. Finally, he sighed. I don't like this. I don't like the age gap. I don't like how it started. And Taeyun. He looked at his former friend. I'm not sure I'll ever fully forgive you. I understand, Taeyun said quietly. But, Cosmos continued, Nina is my daughter. And if this is what she wants, if you truly make her happy, then I'm willing to try. To rebuild. It won't be easy. But I'd rather be part of your life than lose you completely. Tears streamed down Nina's face. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for trying. Don't thank me yet. But Cosmos extended his hand to Taeyun. Just, don't make me regret this. Taeyun took it. I won't. I swear, Cosmos. I'll spend every day proving I'm worthy of her. It wasn't instant forgiveness. The road to rebuilding trust would be long and painful. But it was a start. And for Nina and Taeyun, two people who'd burned down everything comfortable for a chance at something real. A start was all they needed. Because they'd already proven the most important thing. That love, real, dangerous, all-consuming love, was worth any risk. Worth any sacrifice. Worth everything. Love is messy. Complicated. Sometimes painful. But real love is worth fighting for. Even after everything they lost, Nina and Taeyun still chose each other. But tell me, besties, would you risk your family, your reputation, and your peace of mind for a love like this? If you were Nina, what would you do, walk away or fight for him till the end? Drop your answer in the comments, let's talk about it. And if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next dangerous love story.